Hey, 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 hey. Whoops, I almost ended this live. I want to wait for people to catch up here. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. Let me know if you can when people get in here. Because I've got like multiple devices again working. So I messed up the date of this several times. Like, I thought I was going to do it tomorrow and then I was going to do it today. So I apologize beforehand that I didn't. I wasn't clear on the planning, but just let me know if you can hear me. So I've been working on this here. There's Kathy Joe. She's been helping. So we're going to let a few more people get in here. I know I forget that there's people in like Central Time and whatnot. So I need to go later, I think. But we'll give people a couple minutes to catch up. So, how's everybody's day? I'm hoping to get this computer thing fixed at some point here in the near future. But I know there are some people that wanted to talk about this case, so I probably should have advertised it on my community post. But hey, Inties, Apple, I can never say that whole name. This is dinner. I know, Kathy Joe, I just thought about that because they're central. So what I'll do is I'll start and then I think I'm going to make it later next time. But we'll go with it for now. And then next time I'll do it a little bit later. So this is actually Jeffrey Macdonald. If you haven't heard of him yet, this was my first time ever hearing about him. This is going to be a 3-part series. So this is going to be part 1. And it is going to be the intro and kind of the overall details of it. And then we will go into the old case. It is an old case, Shell. And then we're going to go into the actual crime scene and then we're going to wrap it all up with a summary and like a Q&A type thing. So we're going to do this in a 3-part series. But given that it's almost dinner time, do y'all want me to do it now or do you need me? Do you need me to come back later and do it, or does this work for you guys? Okay, Michelle K's here, so this is this is all that we need. So let's just go ahead and do it, and then people can catch up. And next time for part 2 and part 3, we'll do it a little bit differently. But this is Hey Shelma. I think I said it right. Like I said, this is a Jeffrey Macdonald case. This is really old. Not really old, but I guess I'm old. This took place in 1970, the killings. But I've got like 4 pages of notes, and this is just the intro of it, okay? So what we know about Jeffrey Macdonald, I think I'm saying his name right. So that's his wife. So if we've all heard of the Chris Watts case. I mean, I think anybody in this community has heard of the Chris Watts case. And this case is so similar. It was crazy. I could almost not even believe that I had not heard of it before. So let's dive into this. Should we do this later, or is this all right? Are you guys good for this now? Or should we do it in a little while? If you think like everybody's eating. Whatever. We're just going to go for it. All right. So what do we know about Jeffrey Macdonald? That is him and his wife, Colette. He was born in near Queens, New York, 1943, was raised in Long Island. From my understanding, his life growing up was pretty, like, his dad was very strict. It said he was nonviolent, but he was definitely a very strict man. They were raised really proper. It was like you had to be successful. That's what you were, basically your job as a child was to be obedient and successful. He met his wife, Colette, in 8th grade. It was 8th grade. So they dated for like probably a year or something, and then they broke up. He then went on to earn a scholarship to Princeton, if that tells you anything. So obviously he was smart and he was successful the way. Um, Quick note though, interestingly enough, in high school he was like labeled to be the most successful. He was super popular. So that was actually a little bit different than what, necessarily the Chris Watts case was, because he was a little more shy, and it seems like this Jeffrey was way more outgoing. So then he went off to Princeton and was pre-med in 1962. He then, in his second, he was dating somebody else. In his second year of college, he got back into a relationship with his wife, Colette. Then, from my understanding, when they met, she had turned into this like very shy person, never wanting to she was just very timid, and he was the outgoing one of the relationship. And then it said like right after his second year, his wife Colette became pregnant with their first daughter, Kimberly. This was in I believe it was like 1960. I think it was 1963. Hey, Diana. So she became pregnant with Kimberly, dropped out of college to raise the child. He stayed at Princeton. Kind of funny though is that while they were dating, Colette and him, he had several other relationships with other women, which actually comes into play down the road, because despite having it all and being this ultimate family man, he had multiple affairs, allegedly. So she left college, raised their first daughter, was born in 1964. He went after Princeton. He went on to be in Hey Rebellious Rose. He went on to be actually in the construction business, which is kind of funny, just briefly before he was accepted to Northwestern Medical School. So we're talking about a seriously successful guy here for the most part. Pre-med, Princeton, meets his high school sweet. They get back together. They go on to have this daughter, healthy. He's in pre-med at Northwestern. In 1967, he had his second child, Kristen Jean. Let me see if I can go on here. So that house is going to be important. So in 1967, he has his second child, Hey Liberty, Kristen Jean. So in 1969, this is kind of interesting the way he did it. He joins the United States Army and volunteers to be in the Army Special Forces, which, if you didn't know, is the Green Beret. Because of that, he is transferred because he was part of the Green Beret, he joined the Army thinking he was going to go to Vietnam. But because he was part of the Green Beret, they were less likely to get deployed. So he entered there as a surgeon, right? So then because of that, he was transferred to Fort Bragg. So that's fast forward where the crime took place, in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Well, that's where they had moved to. Said they were extremely popular amongst their neighbors. The only thing they were known for, which, the Watts case, was occasionally having an argument, right? But which one of us are married and not had arguments before? I mean, I would like to think that my neighbors haven't heard an argument, but, you just never know. So this fast forward, this is kind of where it gets really crazy. He then, in 1969, right around Christmas, Colette is 3 months pregnant for a baby boy. A baby boy. Think of the Watts case, okay? 2 girls pregnant with a baby boy with Shanann. Colette, 2 girls pregnant with a baby boy at 3 months. So his son is due in July. Yeah, the names neither beeswax. So his son is due in July. He has everything. Successful medical degree, great job. He then is promoted to captain in the Army, which is pretty. Now I don't know how, it's high, right? So he's a captain of the Army, then gets accepted to Yale to further his studies. All right. In the meantime, he buys his daughters a pony behind his wife's, secret to his wife's, gives it to him as Christmas. his father-in-law brings the pony to Connecticut because they're all going to relocate to Connecticut because he gets into Yale to advance his studies. Okay, this is in 1969. That was Christmas of night, so just a little bit after that. Fast forward to February. I know I'm going fast, but this is important because this is going to be broken down later. Fast forward to February 1970. All right, February 16th. Macdonald, which is Jeffrey, obviously, takes his daughters to ride the pony, comes home with them around, it said 5:45. Comes home with them around 5:45. Said Colette, then his wife, then leaves to go to a teaching class because she had gone to college before that to be a teacher and whatnot. And so she goes to, but never finished. She goes to her teaching class. So she's gone. He's got the girls home. It said that he goes and showers while she's still home right before she leaves and gets his pajamas on and stuff. Colette leaves. So then he claims he puts the youngest, right? This is all very much Watts. I couldn't believe this reading this. He claims he puts the youngest to bed around 7 o'clock. Super eerie. And the youngest, if you remember, and I'll go through it again, is Kristen is her name. So then he says he's on the couch. He watches TV, her favorite show, with his oldest, Kimberly. So Colette is 2 and Kimberly is 5. Okay. Hello, Cece and Bella. It's just crazy. I'm still just, I marvel at this. So 2 and 5, these little girls. He then claims that he puts Kimberly to bed. Colette comes home around 9:40, to which he says that he fell asleep in the couch. They watched the Tonight Show, and she went up to bed. Okay, now's where it gets kind of interesting. So around 3:42 a.m. on February 17th, he calls the Fort Bragg emergency, and it says he's faintly yelling for help. So it's like, I know, Michelle K. I didn't until Amber brought it to me. It was like, have you seen this case? And I was like, no. And then the similarities were so eerie, it's not even funny. So he calls, it says he's faintly yelling for help, like he's injured or whatnot. Police arrive 10 minutes later. 10 minutes later. It says the front door was locked. The house was completely dark. So the police go around to the back door. The big back door is closed, but the big back door is wide open, but the screen door is closed. They go in, and then they discover that Colette is discovered on the floor of the master bedroom. I think I have that picture in here. So here's their family. It's so sad. This would be their first daughter here, which is Kimberly. Let's move on. And this is the 3 girls and his wife, obviously, when they were a little bit younger. So their house was actually an apartment that they lived in at the time. So here is both Kimberly and Kristen. I would say that would probably looks about the age that they are. So here's a diagram of the apartment. So that would look about the age that they were, when they were killed. So it says that she's discovered on the floor of the bedroom, which I know this is really hard to see, but this is the master bedroom. She's discovered on the floor of the master bedroom. She's on her back. You know what, Shell? I don't know. I've been trying to look into that. It's very bizarre. So she's found on her back in the master bedroom, which is over here. I know, North Carolina, with one eye open and one breast exposed. She is found repeatedly clubbed, and both of her forearms were broken. Now, both of her forearms were broken, which later obviously is determined that because she was defending herself. She was stabbed 21 times in the chest with an ice pick. All right. And then she is stabbed 16 times in the neck with a knife, severing her trachea in 2 spots, which is just absolutely horrible to think of. Okay. She has a bloody, torn pajama top draped on her chest, and the knife is beside her. Now, also beside her is Jeffrey, but we'll get to that. All right, so Jeffrey is laying beside her. He is laying face down, alive, but definitely wounded. His head is in his on Colette's chest, and his and so his head is found on her chest, and he's got one arm around her neck. Parker, I didn't know the details to this. Yeah, yeah, Michelle K. So this is going to be like the overall intro to it, but then going further, like I'll break it down more because there's like a whole web. It's insane. The stuff that I found out about this, and we'll go over the crime scene and all of that stuff. So then they move on to Kimberly's bedroom, which is over here. She is found in her bed. It says bludgeoned many times and stabbed in the neck. She was beat so hard with a board that it fractured her skull in 2 places on the right side. And actually, they said it would have killed her regardless of the stabs because of the fact that she was hit so hard, which is, oh my gosh. So she's 5. All right. So then let's fast forward to Kristen. Kristen, the youngest, is over here. She is found in her bed. My guess it would be a crib at that point. Maybe it's still 2 years old. Laying on her left side with a baby bottle near her mouth. Hey, Dippity Doo. Dippity Doo, I apologize. I did not put the right time on. Like, I'm going to, next time we do this, do it a little bit later and make sure I advertise it on my community post. So she's laying on the left side at 2 years old, bottle near her mouth, which means she was either put to bed with the bottle or that might get interesting as far as the details of when the murders took place. She is stabbed 33 times with a knife, guys. 33 times with the knife and 16 times with an ice pick. With an ice pick. She's 2. The knife was stabbed. So, hey, Robin was stabbed so deep that it literally penetrated her heart 2 times. 2 years old. All right. Now, those are some horrific deaths. And it's just kind of weird to compare them to how horrific the deaths of the Watts girls were as well. Sometimes Dippity Doo, it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard. So Macdonald himself, somebody tried to call me. Macdonald himself had several cuts and bruises. He had a single stab between 2 ribs. But it was described as a clean small cut, and his lung was partially collapsed. But a clean small cut and an incision. Exactly, Dippity Doo. He was a doctor. He knew how to stab himself. It would not be fatal. All right. So he claimed all of this. He claims these intruders enter, right? He claims all of this happens at 2 a.m. At 2 a.m., let's go on. He claims that 4 intruders came in. First, he said it was he said 1 black male, 2 white males, and a white female. They came in on an acid high, is what he said. So he claims these intruders came in and they did it all on an acid high. These are the descriptions that he gives the police of these intruders that came into his house. So this is where they go with this, right? And so here's where it gets kind of tricky. Was that I gotta get my notes up, excuse me, guys. The more police then investigated, there were some things that weren't lining up with with what was going on as far as, so for instance, this is really bad too. So this is where it actually was. I'm not going to give too many full. He's still living, if I'm correct. Yes, he is. He is dippity doo. You could see by her bed, that's where she was found, Colette. She was 26, guys. 26. So this is just, I'm not going to leave these too long, but this was the his pajama top. This was just a footprint, but I'm going to save these for another. But I wanted to, so this right here on her headboard was written in her blood, pig. So he said when the acid people came in, these acid intruders, hey Amber, came in, that they were the ones that wrote pig on there. So, but here's kind of the things that came about that led people to believe, was he actually basically what convicted him in the end. So there was no record of any disturbance, right? The neighbors didn't hear anything or see anything. They checked the occupants in all vehicles, seeking, whoever they claim. Yes, the coffee table with the chair. Yes, so whoever he claimed did it and whatnot. Outside of the back door, they found an old hickory kitchen knife, as well as an ice pick and a 31-inch piece of lumber. And let's see. Okay. Kitchen knife, ice pick, 31-inch long piece of lumber with two blue threads attached with blood. Now, keep in mind, so what I didn't share, and I got to go back now, was the blue. Hey, Charlie, it's all right, Dippity Doo. You're good. You're good. I love it. I love it. The blue, he had a blue pajama top on. So that's really important to remember. He didn't recognize the knife and the ice pick, he says, or the board. They also searched his house for fingerprints, and all had been wiped clean. So no fingerprints. He claims that he doesn't know how the knife or ice pick or anything got by his back door. And remember that the back door was open, but the front door was locked and everything. So the army starts to figure out this. Hey, Boston, this isn't adding up, right? Like, this is not adding up at all. And keep in mind, I remember, to the best of the knowledge that I have so far, it does seem, yes, Dippity Doo, it does seem that he probably had multiple affairs within his marriage. So yeah, there was very, very few signs of any fight. Now, he claims these people entered their house as intruders and, I mean, fatally killed his family, and yet there was almost no signs of any type of struggle, even though he claims that he was first attacked in the so this gets wild. He claimed he was attacked in the living room and then hobbled his way, after the intruders left, into each bedroom to unsuccessfully resuscitate the rest of his family members. He then goes into his bedroom and succumbs to I'm getting too sorry. This case is so crazy. So he claimed that he became unconscious after the struggle in the living room. So he claims he's unconscious in the living room. When he comes to, he hobbles his way and tries to, give mouth to mouth to everybody. So that's why he claims he didn't fight back and whatnot, because he was unconscious in the living room yes, Dippity Doo, you're right, when the rest of the attack was happening, which is, pretty phenomenal. The neighbors said they heard no sounds of any struggle during the early hours, but they had heard Colette screaming in a loud, angry voice. And the babysitter, the 16-year-old babysitter, did say that in the last month, things seemed really off, and they were definitely not on the same page. Things weren't going well. So then they also said based on, yes, Did he take a lie detector test? Charlie, I'm still researching that. I think he did. So there's a whole thing on this case. So what I'm doing now is I've just done the overall. Now I want to go back to the actual details. And so the next time I come back here with the actual like details of the crime and the investigation, the nitty gritty details, I can tell you that more. But I did see on the website the polygraph part. So this has been going on forever. And I just saw Michelle. Yeah, Michelle. I didn't know he was either until I asked. Kathy Joe and Amber have really looked into this case, and they said, yeah, that it was alleged she cheated several times. There's no fibers of his pajama top were found in the living room. And remember, he claimed that his pajama top was torn in the living room during his initial struggle, but yet no pajama top fibers were found. However, the fibers from his pajama top were found beneath Colette's body. And I think that's important. It wasn't on top, it was beneath her body. And now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, that's actually pretty substantial. So they were found beneath her body. And they were found in both bedrooms of his daughters. Yeah, he was. Yes, Dippity Doo. He was a man. Oh, okay. So the fibers were found in both of his daughters' rooms. One fiber, this is extremely sad. One fiber of the garment was also found under Kristen's fingernail. Kristen was the 2-year-old little girl. And keep in mind, guys, during all of this, Colette is 3 months pregnant. A single fragment of skin, so under Kristen's fingernail, because they did say there was lots of evidence that the youngest 2-year-old did fight back. So then there is, it said a single fragment of skin was recovered from beneath one of Colette's fingernails. However, the evidence was lost. How crazy is that? So the evidence is lost of this skin recovered under her fingernails. What I can't stop thinking about is if it was an intruder, why didn't exactly Dippity Doo? Why didn't they and why weren't they smart enough to not leave it outside the back door? Right? The bloodstain, they did find bloodstained splinters, likely the source of lumber recovered. They found bloodstained splinters, which they assumed came from the lumber outside the apartment, but not in the room that Macdonald claimed he was attacked. Here's another really important thing. No blood or fingerprints were found on the phones where he used to call for help after checking each of his members of the family and attempting to resuscitate them. Furthermore, this part I am reading off the website, guys. The bloodstained tip of a surgical glove was found beneath the headboard where the blood inscription was written. The glove was, this is huge, the glove was identical in composition to the medical supply Macdonald kept in the family kitchen. And it rained on that night, the 16th and 17th, and Macdonald specifically claimed the female intruder's boots were all wet with rainwater just dripping off. But the sole footprint observed at the scene was a bloody bare footprint located in Kristen's bedroom, leading from the child's bed in the direction of the doorway. Okay, I'm just saying, for a doctor, he is stupid. But in fairness, when Chris Watts was not, I don't think he was necessarily, I mean, there's discrepancy on whether he's, was smart or he was really kind of stupid. But I think we can, for the main fact, there were parts of him that were very smart. Well, this guy was clearly smart, but one really dumb criminal. They do think that it was probably rage-induced. So what they've come to the conclusion of, from what I've seen, is that they believe it was obviously an argument of some sort. They think it was possibly, so what he claimed was he didn't wake up. So which one? Kimberly fell asleep, he said, and Kristen, the youngest, was in bed with Colette. So he said when he came up to bed, Kristen had wet the bed. So he didn't move her. He just pulled the sheet. No, he pulled the sheet and moved her to her bed, but did not want to wake up Colette. So he went downstairs and slept. What they think the argument, it's alleged that the argument was most likely about Kristen wetting her bed. I guess, I don't know. I think it might have had something to do with his affairs. I don't know. So it said it was about her wetting her bed, they thought, and that it was in rage. They think that what happened was probably that the oldest daughter came in while he was killing Colette and saw it, and so in turn he killed her, the oldest daughter. The most, other than the fact this is a tragic case to begin with, one of the most tragic parts of it, I believe, is that there was really no reason that there's no reason he killed any of them, but there was nothing that would, make it so that he would have had to kill the youngest child, because she didn't see. Oh, that's awesome, Mrs. Colombo. Yes, definitely weigh your thoughts on it and whatnot. And when I do the part 2 of this, again, I'll advertise on a community post, because there were a lot of people that wanted to tune in. So there's no reason, obviously, to kill any of them, but he did, kill her for no reason. I don't know if it was necessarily to keep up with his story that they were intruders, or it was that he was having an affair and he wanted to get rid of his whole family, to start new. I mean, where have we heard that before? In what case have we heard that before? Part of me goes, okay, did Chris Watts, did he know about this case? Like, it's just kind of crazy because it's so similar. They ended up saying that what, I'm trying to remember what led, for a lot of them thinking that they sealed the deal with his arrest being on their blood types, because all of them had different types of blood. And I've got to remember what it's for. Amber, remind me what they said, because they're saying that blood type was the key to this case, because they had different types of blood, and so it was the only possibility of the blood around there in the certain areas was because it was his type of blood. Didn't Jeffrey state it was a drug? Yes, because yes, Dippity Doo. That's what he said, that they were acid raged people and he wouldn't give them what they wanted at the hospital. And so they broke in and all that stuff. To this day, guys, he still pleads that he's innocent, and he's serving 3 life sentences. He's applied for parole several times. And he blamed it on the hippies. He also applied during COVID for compassionate release, but was denied the compassionate release. I believe he is 77 now, from what I read. He has remarried a woman named Catherine. They got married in 2002, and the claim is they got married in 2002. She has done nothing basically for 20 years other than, yes, he did, Amber, then try to, solidify the fact that he's innocent. She's wrote to Donald Trump. She's done, basically did everything he possibly could. So Dippity Doo, that is the interesting part, is that he has never wavered from his story, his original story. If you remember Chris Watts' story, it changed, I believe, a few times. But this guy's story has always remained the same as far as the details go, which is pretty hard to do for, this many years. Right. I guess if you were telling a story. So there is that other theory too, Amber, if you could think of that. I know, Dippity Doo, because you know how they say, like, sometimes you can tell a lie so many times that it actually becomes your reality. So maybe that is so he got away with this, guys, until 1979. So this happened this is the wild part. This happened in 1970. His biggest supporter for years was his father-in-law, who claimed his innocence. I mean, did everything he could because he was bound and determined that his son-in-law was innocent. And if he had to have another, yes, yes, he did. He did get it. Yes, he was hypnotized, and his story was the same. So until all of the transcripts and everything started to come out, when his father-in-law, I think, kind of came to terms with it. But for 10 years, like, that was part of the Army's, they said that somebody they interviewed said that was like one of their biggest regrets, is that this murderer got away with it for, yep, his father-in-law put him away, got away with it for 10 years. He was basically a murderer running free. Um, but yet to this day, his story has never changed. The similarities between the Watts case and this are pretty eerie, as far as the ages of both Bella and Celeste, the ages of Kristen and Kimberly. You know, it's wild. I think it was Mrs. Columbo in here. I mean, like, if you talk about a guy that, I mean, at least with Chris Watts, he had, he had, they had financial issues, they had some other issues, and I know that this family did too. But if you think about it, if you had to be the all-American family and have it all, these guys would probably a doctor, beautiful family, your boy on the way. Yeah, I could see him. Amber, I could see him doing it, and then I couldn't. Yeah. I'm really starting to wonder if he did look into cases like that. Um, it's just maddening, because by the public eye, you would think they had everything they could have ever asked for. Um, wasn't he? Yes. Thank you, Dippity Doo. Oh man, you need to lead this series. That's right. He was. I have no idea if it's true, but I heard he could get out of prison if he will confess. Get out of here, Mrs. Colombo. Really? Wow. We'll have to look into that. Yes, he was on. Kathy Jo said yes, he was on methamphetamine at the time of the murder. Yes, to stay away. Right, because they said it sometimes he would be on, like, on shift for like 36 hours and home for 12 and stuff like that. So it was a pretty wild schedule, obviously, with anybody um in the medical field, especially early on in your career, because you have to remember, they were only, like, I'm pretty sure they were the same age, Colette, and she was only 26 at the time of their murder, at the time of her murder and the girl's murder. Oh man, if he got released, oh, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. Dippity doo, I know. Amber or somebody, Dippity doo, can you remind me what the name, one of you, of the movie is on FX? It came out and it was the big, huge, huge deal at the time. The movie on this case. Because I've heard, yes, you set it up, I think, earlier, because there's supposed to be some really good movies out on this that I want to watch. Wilderness of Air, yes, is the show on FX. Okay. Fatal Vision. All right, those are two good ones. I'll put in the in my community post. But I guess, like, for me, what, you've watched it, it's good, awesome. What could possibly be going through his mind? I mean, it said he did a ton with it. So again, we got this Chris Watts type of thing. It said he did a ton with his daughters. He was an extremely active father when he was home or whatnot. He obviously loved his daughters to death, just like Chris Watts did. And the movie is okay, perfect, Amber. So I guess, I mean, I understand rage, but a rage that great, like, if you love your family so much, if you love your daughters that much, like, the only thing I could think of was it was similar. Yeah, exactly, just makes you wonder what makes someone flip like that. Exactly, like, I understand, you know at least with, I think it was the fact that at least with Chris, we knew there was another girl, that he wanted to move on to. Whether that's the case here, I don't know. I'll have to look into it more. But like to kill his girls in such a way is pretty wild to me. And so I guess to me, I think that's what Dippity do. I think that's why it's kind of hard to come to terms with that he actually did that. Um, I think too that he did it in such a awful way. Like the only thing I could think of is that he did it so terrible in such a terrible way because yeah, why can't they just leave? Exactly, Tippity do. It makes you wonder if he did it in just such a horrific way because he had to make his story believable. That you heard an interview with his wife too. I'm gonna look into that, Mrs. Colombo. I appreciate that feedback and that information. Um, the only thing I can think of is that he had to do that in that type of way to make his story believable. But then again, did he really? Because to me, that's so extreme for an intruder. However, if the what we said is the coffee table was tipped over, right? So not a lot of damage happened. Was he covered in their blood? His to the best of my knowledge, his top was yes, but he claimed that he went to each of them. Remember, he suddenly regained consciousness from the living room and he stumbled his way into each bedroom to his children where he and his wife and attempted to resuscitate them. So, I mean, their blood on him would have matched up with that story that he told them. Um, but if like Dippity Doo was saying, there was a Charles Manson book on the coffee table or next to the coffee table. I can't remember which one it was, but I don't know if that was for show or what. But hey, thanks, Irvin. But I think like what obviously Charles Manson did some pretty sadistic things. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts, guys? Because I just have a really hard time grasping that he did this to his wife, but that he did this to his daughters because of bedwetting. Movie shows a trail of all their blood. Yeah. Okay. Like I could see the older daughter maybe catching what was going on with her mom, and so he felt like he had to, take care of her, um, because she was 5. But there's still no explanation for for killing the 2-year-old because she didn't see anything, and for they could have claimed that he could have claimed that she, you know, they didn't know she was in it. Whatever, he could have claimed anything as to why she was still alive, but no, and she fought back, which is interesting again. And it's kind of like so it's a weird thing. So they said that Kimberly was shy and timid, very much a girly girl, which is the 5-year-old. And they said, yeah, I think so too, Shell. They said that Kristen was a very tomboyish, boisterous little girl at 2, and if you compare that to what we know about the Watts, it's again very similarities. Bella was more timid, and this isn't necessarily about the Watts. I just think the similarities between the two cases are pretty insane. Um, yeah, I think it was more than that too, Shell. And what surprises me is that he's never come out with it. Like, I don't know, it's 77 years old when there's a very slim chance that wore a big floppy hat and said she did it. Helena Stokely was a hippie that really I missed that Dippity Doo. Wow. Wow, I did not know that somebody had said they did it. Get out of here. See, this is why the conversation is so good and why I like having this open dialogue is because, like, obviously, I don't know. I'm learning about this case too. Oh, that's wild. So that makes it even more confusing. Now, did they know each other? Dippity doo? Wow. This is insane. This is nuts. We should watch their interviews next time when I come on here. That's crazy. But somebody correct me in chat. Wasn't Manson, didn't he have the same type of clan, like a girl or a couple girls and a couple guys or something? I'll find it, Shell. I'll find it somewhere. I'll make it available, even if I have to buy it or something. I'll make sure it's available. But just thinking about it, yeah, it has to, like Shell said up there has to be more all girls. Oh, really? Okay. To it, it has to be bigger to do it, I think, in the way that he did it to the girls. If if in fact did it. I mean, I don't see the other option because of the whole what we'll learn about the blood type and whatnot. Yeah, Dippity Doo. I've always wanted to dig into that. I'm just really terrified because he's so creepy. But but I think that that would be a good follow up too, as well, to do that at some point. I think the more that this website I've been on, it said it was basically from their family. It was done by their family, so I trust for the most part all the information, and it's got everything you could possibly think of to look up this case. So I'm definitely going to research it more because I think it will be, and really spend some time in it because I think it will be cool to. It's a rabbit hole to read the transcripts, and it did say the polygraph and whatnot, all those results. Yes, Shall, I believe he did pass. That guy is so creepy. Oof. But he died. Okay. Helena Stokey, like, why would she be involved? Like, was she from that area? Like, who is she, I guess, that she would come forward and say she did it? Because that's just wild to me. His family is fighting over his estate. Oh my goodness. This is insane. Manson has an estate? It's kind of weird because I wonder if I think she was a police informant. Okay. All right. Wow. You know what's kind of weird is like Chris Watts can't make money over this case and stuff, like, but if there's been movies and things like that, is um Jeffrey's wife, like, is he allowed to make money off this case? I mean, it sounds like she's basically spent 20 years fighting for his innocence and freedom because she believes with all of her heart he didn't do it. And they met. Hey Tina, good afternoon. They met they met, very similar to what, people that women that they met pen paling. It said they crossed paths years ago, but then when he ended up in prison, they ended up writing letters back and forth, and that's how they got together, and he's been married, well, 22 years now. It did say his health was not very good, as far as like his kidneys were starting to fail and stuff, but this case just blows our mind. And I know, like, I'll make sure to put a disclaimer because some of the crime scene photos obviously are a little difficult to see. But I think it's important. I had not heard of a man like this killing his children in such a way, which I'm sure is just because I didn't, um, other than Chris Watts. And it's really bizarre to me, the similarities. And the fact that she was pregnant, that's the other thing. Like, pregnant with a boy. Not only did he have two beautiful daughters, but he had a boy on the way. And an amazing career and credentials and everything. And then to, like, do all of that and then, like, take your wife's, if he did it, allegedly, blood, and write pig on her headboard, because he had to do that in order to keep his story of the hippies and the acid trip people coming in his house. Diane Downs. I'll have to look that. I've never heard of that one, Shell. I'm gonna have to look that one up. That sounds super cool as well. Can't believe the craziness. Tina, I know. So much craziness on in real life crime and in, you know, YouTube in general. But I wish I knew. I wish I knew if Chris Watts researched this case. It's kind of crazy. But we're gonna break this down even more. So next time is gonna that we do this case is gonna be part 2, which is gonna be like the actual crime scene and the investigation. She killed her kids for a man she was obsessed with. Wow, Shell. Holy cow. Wow. It is nuts. It is nuts. These people just are. She killed her kids for a man she was obsessed with. I am just never gonna, like, my mind can't comprehend this thing. Like, no matter how mad I get at my kids, I could never comprehend hurting them in this type. Like, it blows my mind. The only thing too with him though, that may have, like, the fact he was a surgeon, like, I guess, I don't know if this makes sense, but maybe because he was a surgeon too, it didn't, like, the severity of it didn't bother him as much. But it's just absolutely wild to me. He's in a prison too in Maryland, from my understanding, is where he is right now. Um, but I don't foresee him getting out, but who knows? But I have to definitely look into what Mrs. Colombo said about whether or not that rumor is true that he actually got out, or if he will confess, he'll get out. But I know, like, I believe it was his father-in-law, who's obviously passed at this point. Um, I would think so, to the best of my knowledge, that said, like, he never deserves to walk free again. So, but anybody have any last minute thoughts? Because we've kind of gotten a brief overview here, a quick overview of the case from beginning to end, but definitely going to dig deeper into it. We've got a lot of different cases coming up in the near future. We're going to do the missing kid Mondays. I've heard nothing else, guys. I did check into the boy in a suitcase. Still no updates on that one, and I haven't seen any more releases come up from Lily Peters' case at all. And the next time I do this, I will try to make sure that I do it a little bit later so that I don't interrupt dinner time for a lot of them. I forget because I'm Eastern, so I'm like 7 o'clock. It's a good time. But thanks, Irvin. It was just kind of a quick, I put together a slideshow and tried to do some research today. And, that's kind of where we're at on this. I remember Diana Downs. She would be a great one to do. Well, it would be kind of cool to go into something like that that's similar to this case. As well as, I don't know, I still want to look into it's just, I don't know, the Chris Watts thing is blowing my mind. It's just blowing my mind. But, yeah, it's crazy. But I might be back on later just to talk and chill. But I know that I'm keeping any true crime separate from just, chilling out or talking. But I wanted to give you guys some pictures. I think it's important to kind of put a face with a name and whatnot. And I think this is going to be fun. But if you all don't have any last minute thoughts, my email is in my about section. If you have a case that you're just absolutely dying to hear about. And I'm not going to really, some people have asked about, the Cash App and stuff. And I told Amber and my other mods that I'm really just don't want to pin it in chat. So I just pin it up on the banner, and that's about all I need to do. That's good. So, all right. Well, you all have a really great night, and thank you for everybody coming in, and I will post the link to the FX movie so you guys can remember the name. All right, I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Bye.